Hello everybody and welcome to the weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan. This being for the week of January the 22nd to the 28th of 2018. After the Ryuo's work is never done pretty much took control of the list last week, we finally get a little bit calmed down. I'm not going to say that the Ryuo is totally gone, but at least he doesn't own a third of the list this week. In fact, only 3 titles from last week's list are still on the list this week. So let's get started with number 10, and that's actually a brand new light novel series. It's a new volume number 1 with 6,598 copies sold, and that is Hitoribocchi no Isekai Kouryaku, roughly translating to All Alone World Strategy Life, One Cheat Skills Were Sold Out. So I did of course, another rough translation using Google Translate. Wow, Google Translate hates me sometimes. Essentially what seems to be the story of this one is that a main character, Haruka, he and a classmate are summoned to another world. They sort of come face to face with God, and they are offered abilities to take into the next world. The problem is that each of them can only choose one ability, or, like you can't choose the same abilities, right? So his buddy picks the cheat abilities, and Haruka gets stuck with the lousy non-cheat type abilities and is kind of left trying to figure out just what he's gonna do in this other world since the really good stuff got taken by his classmate. Now, taking a look at some of this, I'm not too sure how this really works out. The one translation that I ran through almost makes it sound like he has the ability to eavesdrop, and so that he's going to use that in some way. I don't know if that's accurate. Like I said, no matter how I translated this, it was very sketchy, but all I get out of it is his classmate got the good stuff and he got the junk. That's it. So again, another isekai, brand new. I kind of wondered why this would hit the top 10, especially with so many isekais out in Japan. I looked it up. I tried to look to see on amazon.co.jp to see if the author is maybe somebody of any note, and it looks like this is the only series that the author has published on Amazon. So I'm really not too sure what the selling point of this one is. If any of you can read kanji or, whatever, want to go check it out, then feel free to help me out in the comments down below. At number 9, with 6,818 copies sold, Volume 4 of Kawaikereba Hentai Demo Suki ni Natte Kuremasuka, or there were 2 different translations I got from this. Would you even fall in love with a pervert as long as she's cute? Or will you please like hentai if it's cute? There's no English license for this series. There is a manga based on the series. In fact, funny enough, the synopsis for the series I got from a manga scanlation site because I really couldn't find a whole lot on the light novel series. After cleaning the calligraphy club room one afternoon, Kiryu Keiki found a love letter addressed to him on the club's desk. Eager at the possibility of finally getting a girlfriend, he opens the envelope only to find the words, "I like you," along with a pair of the sender's panties. With only these panties as evidence, Keiki narrows down the identity to the 4 girls who helped him clean the club room that day. Tokihara Sayuki, the lazy third-year president of Calligraphy Club, Koga Yuika, a library committee member of foreign descent, Nanjo Mao, Keiki's slightly tsundere fellow classmate, and most awkwardly, Kiryu Mizuha, Keiki's clean freak of a younger sister. Among at least 3 of these girls, Keiki believes is the one who left him the letter and their panties, so with determination in his heart, he sets out to uncover which of these seemingly unorthodox ladies will become his girlfriend. It looks like it's a harem-type series, obviously quite a bit of ecchi-type elements. I mean, all you have to do is look at the covers, which pretty much all have girls in some level of undress, and yeah, you pretty much know what's the selling point of this series. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say. We all know why everybody's tuning into this one. Although, you know what's funny is that I kind of wondered if this was like a more harder H type series, but it doesn't really look that way. I didn't actually look at any of the manga, but just based on the comments on that particular Scanlation page that I found, it looked like it was pretty much just a relatively ecchi-ish type harem story. So, but yes, so I mean, you know, hey, hentai in the title and the covers of these books, yeah, I pretty much know why these books sell. At number 8, with 7,438 copies sold, Volume 6 of Kuro no Shoukanshi, aka Black Summoner. This one, there is no English license for this one. Losing his memories, the curtains of the story of alternate world transfer of the main character rises. After the transfer, his name changes to Kelvin. While steadily leveling, he adds new subordinates by mastering his skill, and by the time he noticed it, he had obtained overwhelming power. Where will our main character be heading off to? So, another Isekai title, obviously. Not too sure if this is a reincarnation one or a summoned to another world one, but clearly the shtick of this one is that he loses all memory of whoever he was before. I don't know how big an element that plays into the story. And he is a summoner. I'm not too sure if he summons cute girls or monsters or what exactly he summons. I know what the covers kind of suggest he summons, but I don't know if that's exactly accurate. They may just be party members. But it sounds like it's another one of your sort of OP main character type isekai type stories, which are apparently all the rage in Japan nowadays. At number 7, with 7,557 copies sold, Volume 17 of Mushoku Tensei, the Jobless Reincarnation. This one, we do not have a license for the light novels. However, the manga is being licensed and released by 7 Seas. They released Volume 6 in October of 2017. A 34-year-old neat otaku, chased out from his house by his family, found that his life is reaching a dead end. He then recalled that his life could actually have been much better if he had made better choices in the past. Just when he was at the point of regret, he saw a truck moving at fast speed and 3 high schoolers in its path. Mustering all the strength he had, he tried to save them and ended getting run over by the truck, ending his life. The next time he opened his eyes, he is reincarnated to a world of sword and magic as Rudius Greyrat. Born to a new world, a new life, Rudius decided that this time, I'll really live my life to the fullest with no regret. Thus starts the journey of a man yearning to restart his life. Now, a number of you have told me in the past that this is actually a fairly decent series. Again, I really know nothing of it, and we don't have this licensed in English. It's one of those titles that for whatever reason we have the manga and not the light novels. So this one I don't know much about other than what all of you have been telling me, and a lot of you have said that it's fairly decent, although if I recall, one or two of you at least said that the main character can be a bit of a jerk, and that is a bit of a barrier to getting into the story, but you know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, or, you know, tell me a little bit about it. But like I said, I do know that quite a number of you, I believe it was on the Kono light novel Gasugoi videos, because this placed on that list. I know a number of you were saying that it was quite good, and that, you know, you kind of wished that we could get the light novels, because it would be a decent isekai to have. At number 6, with 7,564 copies sold, Volume 11 of The New Gate. This is one we do not have a license for in English. The New Gate, an online game that trapped its players and turned into a death game, was now releasing the thousands of players that had been dragged into it, thanks to the efforts of Shin, one of the most powerful players. But after having defeated the last boss and freed everyone, he was swallowed up by a strange light and found himself inside the game world 500 years in the future and unable to leave. Again, another this is like Isekai plus Sword Art. This is like Sword Art Online, and at the end, instead of, you know, Kirito waking up in the hospital, he just gets whisked away to another game, but this time he's 500 years in the future, which I have to say that when I'm reading this, it's that whole future jump that probably has me the most curious and interested in this book. Because the potential of what that could mean, especially if it's like, say, the same world, right? I suspect that he has been whisked away to a real world. It's not like he's literally in the game any longer, but that whole thing of like being pushed ahead into the future, like, if you've read Log Horizon, that was one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting in Log Horizon, was how the characters who, like Shiro, who had been playing the game from the very beginning, his name showed up in ancient histories of the people of the earth or the people of the land because, you know, because of how the time differentials would work. Because, of course, in the game timeline, time would pass even though the players themselves obviously weren't getting that much older. So it would be kind of interesting to see where, if the game world he got transported to was still incorporating the history of what he did when it was actually literally just a death video game. So it'd be kind of interesting to see. But again, I don't know anything about it. I think one of you not too long ago said that you liked this, that you were reading it, maybe a fan translation or something, and that it was one of your favorites of 2017. So if you know more about this series, feel free to let me know in the comments down below, and, you know, don't spoil it. Not that I suspect we'll get this in English, but nonetheless, I'd like to know a little bit more about it and just leave out spoilers because, you never know. Maybe one day we'll get it. At number 5, with 7,720 copies sold, volume number 7 of Ryuo no Oshigoto. The Ryuu's work is never done. I told you we couldn't get away from it entirely, but this is the only time that the Ryuu's work is never done appears on the list. And of course, this is the most recent volume. You know, we've got the anime. It's currently airing on Crunchyroll. It's streaming on Crunchyroll. Bookwalker is exclusively releasing the book in ebook format in English. They just released volume 2 at the end of January. You know, it's the one thing about Bookwalker. They like announced like a week before they're going to release the book that it's coming out. Like, there's absolutely no way for me to really know in advance that the book is coming. Like, I just saw it pop up on Twitter all of a sudden. It was like, yeah, in 3 days we're releasing it. Wow, okay, thanks for the heads up. But anyway, again, this is one that we do have in English, though. Only volume 2 is available. I did read volume number 1. Very mixed feelings, as I've said in the previous videos. I'm waffling on whether I'm going to get volume 2 and sort of see what happens, like how the series progresses. But I would not say it's high on my priority list given all the other books that I currently have to read. So, yeah. But, you know, if you're interested, you can check it out. At number 4, with 8,194 copies sold, Okitagame Kyoko no Iro Mihon. This is from the Forgetful Detective series. This is the series, it was on the list last week. It's a series by Nishio Ishin with art by Vofang. So, of course, this is the same duo that does the Monogatari series. This one about a detective who forgets everything within a day, and so she has to solve cases within a day, or she leaves like notes on her body. I said last time it reminded me very much of Memento, which is an awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, you should. And again, this is a series we don't have in English. I would like to think that we might get it one day. If we got it from anybody, I would think it would be from Vertical. Now, I mean, Viz did license Juni Tyson, but that was a one-shot. Well, I mean, okay, they brought out a sequel one, but I mean, it wasn't like a ongoing series. Where this is the, I believe, the 9th volume in this series. Vertical, on the other hand, seems to be the one that is picking up Nishio Ishin's actual series, and they've already picked up his other mystery series, Zarigoto. So it's very possible maybe that we'll see this, assuming that, you know, Strangulation, which is the 2nd volume in the Zarigoto series, it comes out in March. And if it does well, I'm hoping that sometime this year we'll hear that Vertical has picked up the rest of the Zarigoto series. And if that happens and it does really well, maybe we could see this one in another year or so from Vertical. I guess it all just depends on whether people's thirst and appreciation of Nishio Ishin holds out or not. At number 3, with 11,656 copies sold, volume number 9 of Gamers. This was on the list last week as well. There is a 12-episode anime which aired July to September of 2017. It did stream on Crunchyroll. We do not have a license for the light novels. So again, very slice of life, you know, bit of a high school romance type series, but about a bunch of gamers and their somewhat awkward relationships with real humans and other gamers. Again, it's a series that I kind of think would do well, just given the fact that it's dealing with people that have a hobby and a love and an affection for something that I would say a great deal of the light novel audience does. But for whatever reason, again, it is a series that we do not have it in English, and I really haven't heard any rumblings that it's one of those series that anybody's in a hurry to pick up, but you never know. At number 2, with 25,897 copies sold, volume number 27 of Hidan no Aria. So Aria, the Scarlet Ammo. Now, this one has been on the list the last time when volume number 26 came out. Really weird situation that the light novel was licensed by this company called Digital Manga Group, but they only put out 2 volumes, and the last volume was released back in like May 29th of 2014. There has been no movement on it since then. Even the manga was the same thing. It was licensed by the same company, same idea, like 1 or 2 volumes came out and then it just seemed to drop dead off the face of the earth. I don't know what the story is with this company. I still haven't really been able to find out anything about that. Maybe I should reach out to a few people and see if I can find out. But again, this is a 27 long series. As popular as it is, I just can't see us ever getting this in English. Funny enough, I was just listening to the Anime News podcast, and they had a couple of people on from 7 Seas, and they were talking about licensing series, and particularly long series, and how those are, you know, much more of a chancy and risky kind of thing. So again, like this seems to be a big series in Japan. Like every time a new volume comes out, it hits the top 10, but I don't really know whether somebody would take a risk to see if it would have that same popularity in English. This one, Tokyo Butte High School. It was a special school where armed detective, also known as Butte, are being brought up. Toyoma Kinji is a sophomore student who has the unique body which activates a super mode when it was stimulated by something. He tries to hide it to others in order to live a peaceful life, but trouble came to find him when he became a victim of a bombing incident where he met the Butte High Assault Department elite Arya H. Kanzaki. Finally, at number 1, and this is almost ridiculous, with 44,710 copies sold. So, I mean, number 2 had double that of number 3, and you've got almost double that of number 1. And this one is actually like a side volume. It's a 7.5, so volume 7.5 of Yokoso Jitsuryoku Shiju Shugi no Kiyoshitsue, or, which is a lot easier for me to pronounce, Classroom of the Elite. This one, of course, we had the 12-episode anime, which aired July to September of 2017, covered volumes 1 to 3, and apparently used some material from the side volume 4.5. Bunch of Reddit users were saying that the anime did make significant changes to the source material. You can still stream it on Crunchyroll. Of course, there's currently no license for the light novel or manga. This one doing huge sales. Like this, when the anime was showing is when I started doing this countdown, and it was the same as the Ryuu's work is never done. Owned the top 10, but owned it for many weeks. Like it wasn't just short, 1 or 2 weeks, like we've seen with the Ryuo's work is never done. It was just consistent, and every volume that's come out since then has hit number 1 whenever it's been released. This series is doing very, very well. Kodo Ikusei Senior High School, a leading prestigious school with state-of-the-art facilities where nearly 100 of students go on to university or find employment. The students there have the freedom to wear any hairstyle and bring any personal effects they desire. Kodo Ikusei is a paradise-like school, but the truth is that only the most superior of students receive favorable treatment. The protagonist, Kiyotaka Ayanokujo, is a student of D class, which is where the school dumps its inferior students in order to ridicule them. For a certain reason, Kiyotaka was careless on his entrance examination and was put in D class. After meeting Suzune Horikita and Kikyo Kushida, 2 other students in his class, Kiyotaka's situation begins to change. And again, I don't know why we don't have this series. It is obviously a huge seller in Japan. The anime gave it a massive boost, and it has just kept going strong ever since. So maybe this year, maybe this is the year that we will hear a license of this one. I guess only time will tell. I'd like to give a shout out to Yuki Ali, Kyle Block, and Vent ZX, and all the rest of my patrons on Patreon for their assistance in keeping this channel going and in its further growth going forward. If you'd also like to contribute, visit patreon.com/JustusRStone. Thank you all so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. So that's your top 10 best-selling light novels for the week of January 22nd to the 28th of 2018. We're going to see what happens next week, unless there's some really huge brand new release that comes out in the next couple days, which I actually think there is, but we'll see. But barring that from happening, I'm pretty sure that Classroom of the Elite is still going to own the top spot, but we will see. Because, like I said, I'm pretty sure there were a bunch of new stuff coming out right at the end of January. So if you're new to the channel and you love light novels, you should consider subscribing. I do this countdown every week, as well as reviewing 2 to 3 light novels on a weekly basis as well. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.